Hey folks, I'm JD. Please subscribe to my channel and please hit like if you could. It helps my channel along. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, which would be really cool. So today we're doing like a second part of this watch balance issue. So this balance has got rust on the actual hairspring. I talked to a friend of mine and he said you can get that rust off, probably use a mix of materials, and it looks like I've got some stuff called liquid wrench. Liquid wrench. And this liquid wrench right here, easier to see in this picture, I guess. It does say that it loosens rusty nuts. That's my country and western name. Rusty nuts. And bolts. Stops dust from sticking, lubricates moving parts, but what I'll do is have a look at what the lighter fluid did first, and then I'll spray some of that on this and see if it's marginally better or not. So I can see that the lighter fluid has dissolved quite a bit, and I don't know what it's done with respect to the hairspring itself. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, and there's the hairspring. So what I'll do is get a puffer. You reach back here and grab myself a puffer. Because if you can't reach and grab a puffer, who are you? So let me just turn that around. And I'm going to hold it while I'm puffing and see if I can actually get this thing to evaporate a little faster than normal. So what I want to look at is what did the lighter fluid do with respect to the corrosion on this, right? Hopefully, with any hope at all, it got rid of some of the corrosion. It actually looks a lot better than it did. And I may not have to dip this in oil, in that rust removal oil, if the corrosion is largely gone, because it looks pretty darn good, folks. I'll do a close-up of it after and we'll see if it's acceptable. And of course I'm using a plate that I got from the dining room, so my wife does not know I've got this plate. My watch is binging away because somebody's sending me all kinds of crap. I need to turn this off. It's a colleague. So there it is. So now let me do, that looks a lot better, but I'm not sure if it's a good final. So let's do a close-up on this thing. Oh my God. So that might have worked. I still see a bit of corrosion though. It's not like it was though. Right there's a bit. And it took a lot of it off. So I am going to spray some of this rust stuff. Get this super lubricant, liquid, whatever. Of course, after I do this, then I got to rinse this thing in lighter fluid again to get rid of all the liquid, so because it's not going to survive. And after I'll let this sit for a while, and then I will poise the balance and show you how that's done. So I'm going to use a big bottle cap and put the hairspring inside the bottle cap, and then spray down onto the hairspring with this stuff here. This could get pretty messy. Shake it, because you always, I don't know why you always shake it, but you shake it. And then I'm going to spray down, and I'm hoping that maybe I spray first and then put the hairspring in, because if I spray down and the hairspring's in there, it may want to dance, and I don't want it to dance. I want to just get this crap inside here. And that's probably pretty darn good there. Yeah, sure, splash me. So there it is there. Smells like mechanics oil. And we got the hairspring in the middle. The hairspring is there. And it's going to work the problem. So I'm going to let this thing sit for probably an hour. So, because I know normally to get this stuff working properly, it needs to sit for quite a while. So there's nothing to loosen in there. There's no shellac or anything like that that could possibly loosen that up. I'm looking there a lot because I've got my computer screen on this side. I could move that over actually, and that way I'm not always looking at the other screen. So there we go. Just do that. There we go. Now I'm looking at myself again. So there's the hairspring in there, and I've got these two lights that are part of the microscope here that I can just adjust so you can get a good view. And it could be the picture I use to frame when I publish this video. So that's that's using this stuff again. I put the lid back on it. This is liquid wrench. Liquid wrench. Super lubricant, non-flammable. I love that. Non-flammable. That's excellent. So it's not going to do a James Bond. Do you guys remember when James Bond killed a snake by using the hair spray and lit it and like that? That was in the movie Live and Let Die with Roger Moore. So if you remember that, let me know. And that's the movie where the guy said, "My brother Billy Bob's got the fastest boat in the river." And then the boat goes by and he goes, "There, here comes Billy Bob now." And then Billy Bob comes within range and he goes, "That ain't Billy Bob." Anyway, sorry about that. So I'm going to set this aside with the plate, and then I'm going to go about looking at the balance and seeing if there's any problem with respect to the weights on the balance. Is it conformed properly? Is it weighted properly? Do I need to do anything with the balance? All right, what do we have here? This is the device used. There's actually two things in here. So this device, you guys can guess what it's called because I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just kidding. There's a bubble in here that's supposed to be centered. That's the bubble right there. It's as close to center as it's going to get. I think this looks high on one side and not on the other. So this device here is used for taking material off the bottom of a balance screw. So it's from removing material on the bottom of the balance screw. You basically put the screw in here and then you turn it and it saws material off the bottom of the balance screw. So that's what this tool is for. And I'll take 2 seconds. I want you to guess what this is for. 2 seconds are up. This is a poising tool. So in this tool here, see if I can get this in view here a little bit better. There we go. Is that good from a very amateur of me to do this, eh? So there's the poising tool. So it's got two, I'll say they're diamond, but two diamond rails, and you put the balance in between these rails, and you puff on the balance to see which direction the balance goes. Now, you're supposed to be 100% level, but this is an older tool, and I'm not sure if I can level this completely. I just, from eyeballs, I can see it's not level. So, but the good news is there's 3 points. Now there's a bubble in the center here, which is looking more level than it was before. So it's kind of moving slowly because I think its bubble there's oil in there. That's how this moves. So that looks pretty centered there. And what I do here, these jaws go in and out, right? And I've got to measure them properly. So I've got to adjust this so the balance sits between the jaws on the pivots. Like that. Now I'm going to get a little closer, so I'm going to turn my camera off here. Now with a puffer, let's see if this actually works. I'm going to puff this balance, and I'm going to see where it stops. It's riding down the hill right now, so I want to stop that from riding down the hill. So it's pretty good there. So that is stopping on the bottom part of the balance. Let me see if it does it again the same way. So it's actually at the bottom of a meantime screw, which is excellent. So if I puff it again, is it going to stop in the same place the next time? Let me just make sure I've got this. The bottom there should have the red mark from before. Is absolutely stopping at the bottom. So that, yeah, that is an indication that the, move this sideways just a bit, that there's too much weight on the bottom there. So, and I want to nudge this over just a bit so it rides the jewels properly. So let me do that again. All right, I puffed that a bit too hard. You can see it wanting to go down to that base, right down to the bottom there. So there's two options here. If that's the heavier part here, I can either take the mean time screw and move it upward to even them out, which I think adding weight is what you're supposed to do, or I can try to screw that one in tighter. So let me grab the balance and have a look at which option is best. So the one with the little red mark here that I marked earlier is the lighter part. So if I look at these two screws, it does look like that one was brought out a bit. So I'm going to bring this one out just a tad. Now I might be able to use my screwdriver to do this, but I'll try to use a pin vise. So this is the pin vise used to do that. And there's actually a groove in the bottom of it. And that allows you to grab the screw like that. So we've got a good grip on that screw right now. And then turn that. I was like thinking, don't make a liar out of me. So there, I've turned it, kind of half a turn. I'm going to loosen that and let it drop. And then grab this again and put that on the tool and see where it lands. And just for you folks out there, I trimmed all my fingernails. I thought, man, what an ugly looking set of fingernails that is. Alright, so that's now in position. So if I puff this before the red mark stayed up, it may still happen, so let's see what happens here. Yeah, that red mark's staying up again. So I'm going to screw the other one in more and see if that helps. But because it's a weight issue, when I'm doing this, I'd have to add weight to this. I'm trying to think of what that does from a momentum perspective, because it's the same weight. So by screwing the mean time screw out on this side, I'm adding relative weight to this side, and screwing it in, I'm adding relative weight to the other side, or taking weight off the other side. So I'm going to see if that makes a difference here. So I'm going to take this screw here now on this side and try to tighten it. See if this works. Now, failing all this, I will add just making sure I'm kind of in scene here. I will add timing washers to this watch if I need to. So let me see if I can turn this without a problem. There we go. There's a full turn there. And I'm going to put this back on the tool here. Try to go left and right and up and center. And I'm going to put it like it was before. Like this. and then see what happens. Yeah, it wants to stay up, and I'm not sure, like it has to do with momentum. So if I were to put this towards the center, and always use kind of a brush when you're doing this, so you don't affect the pivots. But if I was to put this like so, yeah, it absolutely wants to go down that way. So I think that the solution here is to add a timing washer to the meantime screw. So I'm going to get out my timing washers and see if that's going to work for me. So these are timing washers for Swiss bracelets for pocket watches or whatever. So I can't remember when I got these, but I got them anyway. 1 minute in 24 hours. So there's heavier ones and lighter ones, and different sizes. And this is them here, and they're all kinds of different sizes here. So they're pretty small. I hope that these are the right ones that'll fit. Yeah, I think so. I looked down on these, and there's some pretty small ones. So I'm not sure how many timing washers I need to add, but let's add heavier ones first and see what happens. The white stuff on my fingernails is from grouting my bathroom. So that's grouting material. I'm not dying of some disease. So here are the heavier ones. And I'm going to see if I can just remove a few here. This is tricky stuff, folks. Okay, I've got three of them down here. Get this out of the way. And I'm not sure if these are the right size for a pocket watch. I'm just hoping. Okay, so I'm going to unscrew the red one, that's the lighter side, and put a washer on it and see if I can get this poised properly. Okay. There, I've grabbed the screw, and I will work that screw out of the balance. I hate doing this because the screw's in there so nicely, and it's fairly tight in there. I could try bringing it out even further and seeing if it makes a difference in the poising. If I do this and then put it back on the poising tool for a second, do I get a better result? Because I pulled it out quite far. That's actually a heck of a lot better. So I want to see when it swings to the middle point, it's still going down, but if the weight is equal, then I may have a... Yeah, it's still going down, so that's not completely correcting the situation. And again, I just hate pulling it out so far. I pulled it out even further, so let's see if that does it. And again, these are the meantime screws. They're meant to be removed like that, or brought outward like that to poise the balance. Now I'll puff this again and see if it stays. It's getting even better because it's waiting until, that's not too bad there, but I think I do need to add the weight. I hate to say it, but I think I do need to add the weight. So let's pull it off here. Move this over. Yeah, it's a shame, but I do. I'm not sure if the weights here are going to be enough. Hopefully they are. So here's the meantime screw coming out. There it is there. And these weights look way too small for. I'm going to go back to my thingamajabby doohickey here and see if I can get heavier ones, because these ones look way too small. But they may be made for watches and not pocket watches. Alright, let's get the last ones out here and see if these are big enough. They look a little bigger, but still doesn't look like there's a whole lot of. I also had a balance in there, but again, that looks like a watch balance, so that's not going to help me. Yeah, I think these washers, timing washers, are too small. I may go back and have a look and see if I have any more. I hope I do. I remember seeing tubes of these things somewhere, so just throw these ones back in here. And I'll be right back. If it wasn't the last place I'd look for timing washers, sorry that's inverted, but I have a few timing washers now. I'm hoping they're the right size. Yeah. So the good news is there's big ones right here and right here. So those are big timing washers, so I'm hoping that this is the right size. It was the last place I looked. I looked friggin' everywhere for these parts. The last place I looked, that's where they were. Isn't that, it's always the last place you look, isn't it? Yeah, and just spill them all out. So we'll just see if any of these fit. Yeah, these are pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to put a bunch of them on here with the hopes that they'll work. So We'll just put these ones on and screw this back in into the balance. And I'm just going to kind of leave it like this. I'm not going to screw it all the way in. I just want to see what that number of washers will do. Plus I got to pick all these other ones off. But finally I found my giant assortment of timing washers. I do have a lot of them. So I'm experimenting here with these things. Hopefully I have to screw it the actual meantime screw all the way in. So I'll pick these up and you don't have to watch me. So the good news is that it stopped kind of halfway, so it's not all the way down again like it was before. So just roll that and see. Still heavy, but heavy on the bottom, but a lot better. So I'm going to try to stuff a whole whack of timing washers on the end here and see if it makes a difference. But I'm going to have to put them on my finger and then stick them on, I think. Or just use the pad and hope the other ones don't fall off. Alright, so that's a lot of timing washers. And let's see if this makes a difference. And hopefully it's not too much. As you can see, this kind of stuff takes a long time. Good news is nothing's sort of bottoming out here, so hopefully it's... Oh yeah, that's a lot better. That's pretty darn good. I think I may add just a few more, and that's it. And then we'll have the balance should be in better poise. I'm going to line a couple of them up here. I don't think these weigh a lot. That might be the issue, but try to line 3 of them up. See if I can get a better view there. That's like not too bad there. All right, there's 3 of them lined up. There we go. Just had to make sure when I grab 3 I don't drop 2 more. There we go. I'm going to put that on. I think that might do the job. Wait, that's not good. The actual screw head came off, and that is the danger of doing that job. It just stripped the screw head off for no reason. Now I've got a whole other problem. I got to find another timing screw to put into that position, or another screw of a similar weight, and it just added to the complexity of this job. So I'm not sure if there's a lessons learned here, because this is exactly what I would have done. There's the screw head there, and it just snapped right off because these are brass screws. So I have to figure out how to replace this meantime screw on this balance, which is a whole other job. I don't think I can grab the tip. I might be able to grab it from the other end, I don't know. So we'll see if I can work this screw out somehow. If I can't, I may have to drill it out from one side, which is going to be even more difficult. So this has just extended the whole job, trying to poise the balance, and the screw, the meantime screw just snapped off on the end. So this is a fun of watchmaking. I would say fun because I probably just added 3 or 4 more hours to the job. So there we go. There's the head. I'll throw that into the holy crap, that was fun bin. And I got to find a balance similar to this one that has a meantime screw that's a similar size, but somehow I have to figure out how to get that other screw out. So I think, is that it for today? It's 4:16. I think I'll make this video and just call it the balance screw disaster, just so the owner of the watch will go, what the hell? But it's all fixable, so no worry. So it turns out I've got this glass vial full of pocket watch screws, which is a good thing. So I should be able to find a screw that fits in there, and maybe I find a screw with a little more weight on it, so I don't need to have timing washers. I'll see if this works, and somewhere in this mess of screws there's a right screw. I basically have to match it to the other side and make sure that they're the right weight. So we'll do that. That's the next job in the next video.